or clear course, a guy called Dan Barber. He's hello. Sorry, I can hear myself twice now. We are definitely live on the platform. Yeah, sorry, I need to mute this. Yeah, Ollie, you've made us live on the platform, by the way. Yeah, so the clear course, Dan Barber, he's going to join us at 12:45. They've got 11 teams in there, absolutely smashing it. There's some great energy coming from Dan. So when he comes on, we can use that as a moment. If you want to stay on and be part of that conversation, then you feel free. If you want to high five and leave, then that's completely up to you.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
So cool. Right, Shanique, Ken, over to you. Let's run this.
How you doing, Heather? All right?
Hey, yeah, good, Tom. Thanks. All good. How are you?
Whereabouts? Where's your base at the moment? Where are you in the office?
So I'm in Lark Hill.
Okay.
I've taken my uniform top off and put on a good old Team GB hoodie back
Nice
on.
one.
But yeah, no, I'm based in Lark Hill, which is near Salisbury.
Lovely.
Yeah, so it's all right. Not too bad. Could be worse.
And how's things been since stopping rowing properly?
Yeah, all right. I mean, it's been over 5 years now since I retired. It's been fine because I returned to work in the army and life just kind of trundled on. And the last 2 years have all merged into each other anyway. So, yeah, it kind of time's flown. Actually, it seems like yesterday that I was rowing, but actually, a lot's happened in the last 5 years as well.
Yeah, the same for me. It seems like yesterday, but actually, it's like 10 or 12 years since I properly stopped rowing. It's like, yeah, and it's like, no, actually, it was a decade ago. So
yeah.
How does it kind of compare to like being in the army and rowing? Like, is it comparable? Is it totally different? Or
I mean, there's similarities, but it's very different. Kind of. This is a real world job, whereas rowing was something I did for myself. But yeah, there's loads of comparisons when it comes to like teamwork and kind of working with others, understanding kind of missions and tasks and stuff. Like there's lots of things I learned about myself in rowing, which I think makes me better in the workplace. So there's plenty of comparables in that sense.
And when you saw Helen dusting off the oar and getting back involved, you weren't tempted to get stuck in again?
Definitely not.
No.
It was really cool to see her competing in Tokyo, and it was really cool to see her drive and determination again. But like I'd closed the door on that, and I'd moved on, and I was just in a very different space. Although I couldn't use the excuse of I started a family and it wasn't for me, because I had one child and she'd had three, and still she managed to go back and race again.
Did she give you a call and we're like, come on, we can do this? Or did she ever get in touch with you or anything like that?
Yeah, no, we speak quite regularly still. So I knew that she was doing it, and I knew kind of where she was on her journey and stuff. And but yeah, there was no. I think she joked once saying, "Go on, are you tempted?" I'm like, I'm done. She's like, I know you're done. But yeah, her and Polly were good.
Yeah,
they were good duo. Her and Polly were good.
Hi, Heather. Hey, Ken here.
Hi, Ken. How are you?
I'm not too bad. First of all, thanks for coming on today. First of all, I want to ask, because I've been doing my research, as I like to do. So, first of all, do you and Andy know each other? Was you guys on Team GB together at the same time? Or?
Yeah. Andy was an established member of the team when I arrived. So yeah, we competed on the team together. He was one of the. Well, he was an Olympic champion in Beijing, and I arrived in 2010. So he was reigning Olympic champion going into London, which was my first game. So he was someone who, me as a newbie to the squad, I could look to see what the Olympic champions were doing and working out what I needed to do to be like them. So he was a great role model for us all. Is that the right thing to say, Andy? Role model for us all. Is that the right thing to say?
I think you're lining him up for something brutal, but we'll see where this goes.
No, fair enough. That's fair enough. Because I just wanted to ask, because like I said, I've been doing my research. You've actually done some history. Actually, made some history. Within the rowing industry. I was reading up that you was actually the first gold medalist for the British, for the female British rowing team.
Yeah, so London 2012, Helen and I won the first gold that female rowers have won at Olympic Games. So prior to that, females had won medals, but we hadn't won the gold medal. And then we also won TBGB's first gold of the London Olympics. So a lot of that was down to scheduling. So we were very fortunate on the schedule. So yeah, we won our gold, and I think within an hour, Bradley Wingard's won his gold. And from a female rowing perspective, we won 3 golds at that Olympics. So I mean, it could have been any 3 of us boats having won that first one, but I suppose me and Helen were lucky to get that.
Just stole my next question, because I was going to ask about kicking off Team GB at the Olympics, winning the first medal at the Olympics for Team GB. So you actually cemented your place in history with Team GB rowing, and not just another rower like Andy that's won a couple of medals. But that's fantastic. And like I said, I've been doing a lot of research. So I want to go a bit back, because I'm quite intrigued to see where your discipline has kind of come from, because I was reading that your parents were in the Royal Navy.
Yeah.
Your dad was a lieutenant.
Yeah, lieutenant commander.
So I want to know how was life growing up?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I come from a family steeped in military history, but that wasn't to say that we weren't the Von Trapp family. We weren't kind of by our beds every morning or anything like that. But I think being in the military is a way of life, really. So as a kid growing up, I had a fantastic childhood. I loved it. I loved the opportunities that I had from my dad's job, traveled all over the world. And because I enjoyed it so much, I thought I wanted to make a career like that for myself. So it kind of opened my eyes to the opportunities. And like I say, my family's steeped in military history. Both my grandfathers were in the Navy, my uncle was in the Army, my great uncle was in the Army. So kind of between the Army and the Navy, we've kind of covered quite a lot within the family. So for me, it was kind of a natural choice to look at joining the military. But I mean, as a child growing up, like I said, it wasn't, yes, I suppose I was disciplined, but that might have been something to do with boarding school as well. Because my father moved around a lot with his job to give me and my brother stability, my parents sent us to boarding school. And that I absolutely loved it. And I know there's lots of people who boarding school was kind of not an enjoyable time in their lives, but for me, absolutely loved it. I went to a fantastic school and had a really good support network around me. And I think I've learned lots from that. If you're going to get the best out of yourself and you're going to be kind of a successful individual, you need a good support network. And so that's something I'm grateful that I learned early in my life. And I also made some really, really good friends who were all very different. My school friends and me, if you kind of get us all together in a pub, you'd look at us and go, how are you guys all friends? Like, you are so different. But we went through our formative years together, and we are still great friends today. We appreciate each other for our differences as well, which is important.
Okay, that's cool. So was rowing kind of like a guilty pleasure, like to take your mind off things, or was it something you done on the side? Or
yeah, so I got into rowing purely for the social side of it. I had absolutely no reason to think I'd ever be any good at it, other than I'm tall. But also, I started at university. People had said I should give it a go because I was tall. I wanted to try a new sport at university I hadn't done at school. I enjoy challenges, and I wanted to kind of meet people, and University Boat Club kind of ticked all the boxes for me of meeting people, having a good time, doing something new. I had absolutely no idea I'd be any good at it. So what started off for me as a bit of a kind of a social endeavour turned into something quite serious quite quickly when I was picked up by a talent ID coach. So yeah, it kind of went from something a bit of fun to something quite serious within about 18 months.
When the talent ID coach picked you up, was it something that, okay, let me give it a go and see how far I can get, or no, I was just doing it for a bit of fun, or okay, they actually might think I might be good here. Let's try and make a career out of it?
Yeah, a little bit of all of those things. I thought, why not try? Someone's given me an opportunity. Why wouldn't I try and see where I can go with it? There was a little bit of me that just wanted to see how good I could get. And also, I suppose I was kind of curious to see what being an elite athlete would be like. So why wouldn't I give it a shot? It seemed like an opportunity too good not to take. And that talent ID coach who spotted me is a guy called Paul Stannard. He's now head coach for the British men's squad. He's an incredibly talented coach, and there were 5 of us athletes who were in London 2012 who he coached at university. So there was 5 people he took from almost novice to Olympians. That's pretty special. So to be part of that was quite cool.
It wasn't a case of get on a team, smash all the girls on the water, pick up some medals, and call it a day.
I'd love to say it was easy as that, but it definitely isn't. You know, it's not that easy.
How did you combine like when you were kind of breaking or in the team and in the army at the same time? How did you like juggle training with being away and stuff and things like that?
Yeah, so like I said, rowing for me started as a hobby, as a pastime, something a bit of fun. Joining the army had been something I'd always wanted to do, so I was really adamant I wanted to stay true to myself and stick with my army career. So when I got the opportunity to join the squad full time, it was really key to me that I kept my career going in the background. So I started rowing at university. I left university, joined the army, and I kept rowing in the background because I enjoyed it. I was doing well. Paul was really good at adapting a program for me. And once I joined the squad full time, the army were really good at releasing me to train full time. So I went from kind of being an officer in the army who was also rowing to a full-time athlete in the army, which was absolutely incredible for the army to do, but also what I needed to do if I was ever going to kind of make it into the Olympic squad. But yeah, in the background, it said I was keeping things going. So after the World Championships every year, the British squad get kind of 3 weeks off, and that's pretty much the only holiday you get in the whole year. For me, I remember returning from the World Championships the next day, reporting for duty at an army camp in Warminster for a career course. I spent 3 weeks on a career course, and then I was back to Caversham. So I didn't have a holiday for probably about 2 or 3 years because my holiday was spent back at work. But that was my choice. It was hard work, don't get me wrong, it wasn't easy. But because I'd chosen to do it, I was motivated by it. And I felt very fortunate to do what I was doing. So whenever I thought it was, if ever I felt sorry for myself and thought, oh, this is rubbish, this is hard work, I'll be like, I'm really lucky. I'm like, no one else is in this opportunity, in this position I'm in. And that really motivated me.
I heard a rumor that you were erging in Afghanistan in the middle of a desert. Can you confirm if that's true or not?
I may have done a few ergos out in Camp Bastion, yes.
How was that? Like, was it in the heat? And I bet it was horrible.
So yeah, I did a 6-month tour in Afghanistan, and it was pretty warm in the summer. I won't lie, kind of hitting 40 degrees C is pretty hot, but you acclimatise. And again, I saw it as a great opportunity. No one else was in the situation I was in. I was basically training at altitude. I was living at 1,000 feet, training in this heat. And I just thought it's an opportunity to see what I can do. What was really important for me, though, was I didn't come back from that 6 months hating the rowing machine, because that was the only sort of training I could do, really. Kind of a basic gym work and erging. But Robin, who was my coach then, said, don't come back hating the erg. Do what you want to do and do it because you enjoy it, and which was a really important mindset to have. So yeah, it was pretty challenging, but actually I actually worked night shifts in my time out there, so I was nocturnal. Everything's a lot cooler at night time in the desert, so I'd train early in the morning and late at night, really. So that was my way around it, and then I tried to sleep through 40 degrees, which was definitely a challenge. But hey ho.
And then how? So in terms of like fueling yourself and stuff, what was the post training food like? Was that up to scratch or?
No, it was good. I mean, it was pretty limited, but it was adequate. I mean, I was very fortunate. I was based in Camp Bastion. I was in a secure location, and we had amazing cookhouses. And I mean, military chefs can produce the most amazing food off not very much. So I was very fortunate. We had very good food. I wasn't on rations, but yeah, it was. I mean, I won't lie. It was kind of. I'd have roast dinners for breakfast because I was nocturnal and working night shift. So and having curry for breakfast is a bit strange to get used to, and having kind of cereal before bed. But
no toast.
What was there toast? There must have been toast. I don't remember having
toast.
I had a lot of Rice Krispie squares. This is not a nutritionally balanced diet, I have to say, but Rice Krispie squares I was quite a fan of.
So you're go on, Tom.
No, I was just going to say a lot of obviously we're all doing the Race the Thames this week, so all of our kids and we've got a lot of parents and adult teams doing it as well. Hopefully they'll be watching this, and when I tell them they've got to do an ergo in a nice, cool, air-conditioned room at school at the weekend, they won't complain as much when they've heard you've been erging in the desert in 40 degrees after a curry.
Yeah, exactly. It's always worth for someone somewhere.
Yeah.
So Rio 2016.
Yeah.
That was your last Olympics. You won a gold medal. Did you go into that Olympics knowing that would be your last?
I think so, but I didn't allow myself to think that. I think in the back of my mind, I knew it would be the last, but I was very conscious not to allow myself to think that, because I think for me, if I think I'm doing something for the last time, you end up putting a lot more pressure on yourself. And so for me, I wanted to make it as normal as possible. So the Olympics is a massive thing for us anyway. You've worked 4 years to get there. There's already a lot of pressure to then add on it, and this is the last time you're ever going to do it, is then another thing of, oh, okay, I've really got to get this right. So for me, I think subconsciously I knew that it was the last one, but I wasn't going to allow myself to think it until afterwards. But also I was there to kind of, I'd set out with goals. I wanted to, or Helen and I wanted to kind of repeat what we'd done in London. We wanted to do it better. We kind of wanted to show that we'd progressed in 4 years. And if I'm brutally honest, our race in Rio wasn't our best race. But actually that almost didn't matter, because we'd had some fantastic races on our journey there. So I kind of left Rio feeling satisfied I'd achieved all I wanted to, whereas in London I knew there was still more. There was still more I wanted to do. So I think that's why I was quite content to retire after Rio.
Because you lot achieved the gold, did that give you did you start sniffing at the end of the Olympics thinking, okay, maybe one more, because we're champions again?
Yeah, it's a thought that goes through your mind, but like I say, 4 years is a long time.
Yeah,
so to be motivated just by that one thing makes it very difficult. So for me, I broke down the 4 years into other goals and challenges. So the journey to Rio was all about becoming a world champion, maintaining that title, breaking a world best time, being European champion, but also rowing better. And I'd kind of ticked all those boxes. And I also had a load of goals off the water to achieve, kind of my ergo times, my 5K, my 2K, lifting in the gym. I had all those sorts of goals, and I'd kind of achieved all I'd set out to do. So I was thinking, if I was good to go again, it wasn't going to be just about that gold. It was going to be the gold, and I had to have a load of other goals to do to get there. So, because if you've only got the one goal, when things start going wrong, it's very difficult to stay motivated and stay on track. So I think because I didn't have the other additional things, for me it was okay, it'd be cool to go again, but and also I was at a stage of my life where I had my career in the army, and if I came back to the army, I was in a really good place to pick up kind of my career where I was, stay with my peer group, and press on in my military career. So I weighed the two options up, and it just seemed like a sensible time to retire.
When you got talent spotted by your coach, did you go through a period of transitioning into where you wasn't any good and you was actually losing competitive races? Was there any doubts to think that, okay, maybe you're not any good, and then you got better and you just started winning races? Or has it been smooth sailing throughout? So you got there, you smashed everyone, and then
I haven't always been winning, by the way. No, I think so. I think what Paul saw in me wasn't necessarily. I'll put my hands up and say I was not the best rower out there. I was not the fittest, the strongest, the biggest, the heaviest. There were lots of things I weren't. But what I was, and with Helen, we were the best team together. And what Paul saw in me was I thrived on challenge. So he could set me challenges and I would just keep working doggedly at it until I achieved that. And I thrived on challenge with people. Put me in a single scull, I am rubbish. Like, I will not be winning any medals in a single scull. Put me in a boat with someone else, I will work until I can't work anymore for that person. So I'm motivated by the people, and I think that's important to recognise kind of what motivates you individually and where you add value to a team. And that's something that kind of Paul recognised in me, and certainly something that Robin, who then coached me and Helen kind of through our career, our Olympic careers, was like, what can he do to get the best out of us individually that makes us a better team? So yeah.
So you being in a double, does that add added pressure then? Because you're thinking, if I mess up, I've let down, or I've messed up the whole race. Yeah,
I'm going to let someone else down. Have you ever had it? So you think in the morning, right, I'm going to get up tomorrow morning, I'm going to go for a run. Your alarm goes off and you go, nah, I'm not going to go for a run. It's a bit cold outside.
I've had that loads of times.
Exactly. Whereas if you've agreed to meet someone outside, your alarm goes off and you're like, oh, I don't want to get up, but I've told them I'll be there. They're going to be there waiting for me. You get up and go, don't you? So it's kind of like that. Like you've got to go. You've got to perform your best because you don't want to let that person down.
See, I'm so happy you said that, because a lot of people tend to find pressure a bad thing, but pressure, it depends on how you take the pressure, I guess.
Yeah.
And pressure, I've always told people, pressure will either do two things: will make the good fold or the great focus. So you seem like you was able to handle pressure, and the outcome obviously being your gold medals.
Yeah.
Did that stem from your upbringing and your parents being in the Navy? Were they hard on you, or?
They weren't hard on me. I think they gave me and my brothers a lot of opportunity. I'm very close to my brothers, so there's kind of three of us within 3 years. Only since I've become a parent have I realised that's pretty close. Because three kids under 3 is hard work. So, but what it has meant is I'm really close to my brothers, so we do a lot together. And I think growing up, I learned the value of doing stuff together. So I think, like you say, when it comes to pressure, you can either share it or you can be motivated and share it and be motivated by it, or you can let it, like you say, make you crumble. And I think I kind of went with the other way of kind of this is a good thing. Pressure is a good thing. It's how you deal with it and how you choose to deal with it as well. That's the key thing. It's our choice of what we do. As an individual, you can own all of these things that are given to you. It's how you choose to, and it is a mindset thing. And I think that's something I've learned in time. Probably a lot through my rowing, but also through my military training, learning to deal with stuff that's thrown at you.
So Heather, did you feel, would you say in terms of pressure, you felt more at London, having never won before, or going into Rio, trying to defend your title?
Definitely more pressure in Rio. So if I look at the two games, London was really enjoyable for me. We were unknowns. It was the first experience for me and Helen. It was just really kind of fun experience, knowing that there was something we wanted to achieve and we were going there to win gold. That was our goal. So our goal was still the same in Rio, go there to win gold, but the pressure was so much more because people knew who we are. I almost felt like we had more to lose in Rio. Like we could lose our title, as opposed to in London, we could win the title. So there was definitely more pressure. And it came down to how we chose to look at it. And I think I almost got it wrong in Rio. I almost let it affect me too much. Whereas in London, I was really motivated by the pressure of the home games. In Rio, I was almost scared by the pressure of failure. So there is a fine balance, and even though you've got it right once, doesn't mean you'll get it right again. So I think I almost experienced the wrong side of it, I think, in Rio. I did find Rio quite stressful.
What did you kind of do to help deal with that pressure then coming into it as the favourites and stuff? How did you get over that?
Like me and Helen had lots of conversations, and Robin, the three of us, very close. We talked a lot. We talked about how we're feeling a lot. We talked about kind of what it meant. But also Robin was very good at kind of reminding me and Helen about what we did well together. And so for me, when I'm sat on the start line getting nervous, if I think of really objective things that I've done and achieved, it kind of reassures me and gives me confidence. So I think having conversations with Robin and Helen, giving us confidence about stuff we'd done. So if any doubt ever came into our minds about, oh, we're not good enough for this, or oh, that crew looks better, Robin could say something to us like, yeah, but they look really good in Lucerne and you beat them. Like, oh yeah, we did. And since then you've also done this, and this. And you're like, oh yeah, so I have. So I think having objective things that you've done and achieved, which comes back to my having lots of goals to do in between the main goal, is really useful, because when you have kind of ebbs and flows in your confidence, it's good to kind of keep you on track with that.
Helen, Heather.
Yeah.
Quick question. Sorry, I haven't spoke to you yet. Hi.
Hi, Shanique. You're right.
Hi. I'm all right. I wanted to ask, when you and Helen did realise you guys made history, being the first female British rowers winning Olympic gold, obviously rowing is a male-dominant sport. And when you guys did make that history after that, did you ever think, should I pick up maybe a young protege and teach another female rower or a potential Olympian to take up rowing, or give them more sessions just to encourage more females to take up the sport of rowing? Was there ever something you thought to do, or have you already done it?
I think that, yeah, around rowing there is kind of this perception that it's, like you said, it's male dominated, but actually there's equal competition for males and females. There's equal number of boats and places at the Olympic Games for males and females. So that balance has been readjusted. So I think the perception around it is that it's very male dominated, but there's just as many opportunities for females. But the perception's there for a reason, because all we ever saw was males. So you're right that there probably needs to be a balance to be readdressed. And I mean, from the coaching side, it's very male heavy. Unfortunately, there's not many female coaches up there with rowing at the moment. There's some really good ones around, but I don't know why that is, whether it's just the jobs haven't appealed to them or the opportunities haven't been there. But I think there is kind of a balance coming. But yeah, did I ever feel that kind of I should pick up and put it in? I don't think so. I think for me, the biggest thing was just encouraging people to give it a go. For me, around female sports, I've loved sports since I was at school. Was really sporty, did anything to get out of the classroom basically at school. And a lot of my school friends stopped playing sport when they went to university. So I think culturally, rowing aside, we've got to encourage females to continue with physical activity beyond school age. And what is it that we need to do culturally as a society to encourage that? I'm not sure. But I think for me, the biggest thing is, if females are doing physical activity, don't stop. And if they are stopping, trying to understand why is it, whether it's, like you say, it's the perception that, you know what, there's not many opportunities for me. No, there are. Come on, let's go explore those opportunities. Or it just doesn't appeal to them because they want to go off and do other stuff, or they're not comfortable in the gym environment, or we just need to understand what it is that's putting people off. And I think that I've been more passionate about, I suppose. It's encouraging people to stay involved. I think is probably my bigger passion. But with that, is making people aware that there are opportunities there. They just, for some reason, the message hasn't quite got out correctly. So I think that's something that we do need to address. So an ongoing thing, I think.
So going back to your the stuff about pressure. Hello.
Oh,
can you hear that?
Someone joined. I can hear you, Matty.
Did you ever have like the perfect race where you went, okay, right, everything went to plan in that race? Because when I'm dealing with kids and stuff, and I'm trying to tell them that not everything will be perfect on race day. So did you ever have a perfect race, and like what do you do in the race to kind of deal with anything that unexpected stuff?
So I know which our best race was, but can you ever have a perfect race? Can you ever get the perfect stroke? I don't know. So that's what you thrive to. I mean, rowing is that stupid sport. You do the same thing over and over again. You would have thought we'd perfected it by now, but every stroke is different, yet it's all the same. So can you have the perfect race? I'm not sure. But in 2015 in Aiguebalette was probably the best race that Helen and I had. We won fairly significantly. And the only thing we would have done differently was gone for the world best time. We had it in us, but we'd got a really good margin and we just sat comfortably and we enjoyed it. We took in the atmosphere. We really enjoyed the race. And I think it was 250 to go, when normally we probably would have just kind of just stayed at the pace we were. Helen was like, shall we go for it? But we'd left it too late and we should have gone for it at the 750. So that was kind of, it was almost a perfect race. And I think that was probably as close to as we'd ever get. We weren't challenged as much as we necessarily wanted to be, but because of that, we were able to row the way we wanted to, and therefore it was almost a perfect race for us, I think. So
give us an example of when everything didn't go to plan and it all fell apart, and how you kind of got over that and sorted it out.
There's no one race in particular, but for me, 2014 was a year where I really struggled. So I, having had a year back with the army after 2012 and being away, when I came back in 2014, I had to earn my seat back in the boat with Helen. And I had to kind of reprove to myself and to the team that I was the athlete I was, and I should be selected in the boat with Helen. And I think in doing so, I made myself ill. I overtrained. Then all my training got curtailed. And so that year, the key thing I learned was controlling the controllables. So what I couldn't do the mileage that we needed to do that year. And it must have been really frustrating for Helen that we were going out 6 weeks before the World Championships to a training camp, and I couldn't do the mileage we needed to be doing. So I was doing a maximum like 12 kilometers a session, where normally we'd go out and do 24 Ks. So that was really difficult for her. She was getting out the boat, then jumping on the ergo to finish the session. But she never let it affect her, or openly let it affect her. So us as a team could continue going and being really positive about what we could do. And so when I say control the controllables, we focused on the stuff we could do rather than stuff I couldn't do. We did lots of skill work. We spent a lot of time doing skills and drills. So when it came to the World Championships, we were in Amsterdam that year, the conditions were really rough. It didn't matter how fit you were on that start line. What mattered was whether you could row the conditions. We were sat there looking left and right, and the Americans looked massive. They'd clearly worked hard. They had huge engines, and the Kiwis were looking in great shape. And we're thinking, oh God, knowing that we were not in, or I was not in great shape. But actually, no one else had spent as much time as we had that year doing skills and drills, and so we absolutely sailed across the top of the water. It wasn't tidy rowing, because it never is when it's really windy, but it was so rough that it didn't matter how fit and strong you were. What mattered was whether you could row the boat. So for me, just a real key lesson is control the controllables. If we'd spent all year worrying about my fitness, it wouldn't have mattered, because it was all about whether you could row in rough water or not. So that was pretty key in 2014. And it helped us again actually in 2015 in the European Championships when the weather was really rubbish. So
almost like you planned it.
I know. Yeah. So there's a lot of luck involved. Don't get us wrong. But yeah. Controlling the controllables. Don't worry about the stuff that's out of your control.
I'm a big advocate for that. Always control what you can control.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask. So there was you all them years back, just rowing for the socials, for a bit of banter to enjoy yourself, and then you've had this illustrious career, and then you go on to receive an MBE and an OBE.
Yeah.
So explain that experience for me. How was that going to? I can't say for you what you imagined when you started rowing, but I'm pretty sure you never had goals to gain that sort of honours. So explain that experience. How was it even going to receive it? Was you worried about falling over when you go receive it and stuff? Was you nervous?
Yes, I mean, to receive an honour like MBE and OBE, it's an absolute honour, because everything I'd done was for me. Like being an athlete's quite selfish if you kind of claw it all back, and I'm doing stuff because I want to. So to be recognised for my services to rowing is really special, because you're like, I've been on this journey and I've been supported on this journey by all these people. Yet in doing so, other people have recognised it and they've been motivated by it. And so I think it's just really special to have that recognition, and very humbling as well. But with it comes responsibility. I now feel that that was only part of my journey, and almost the start of it. And I've now got a responsibility to continue giving back and inspiring and ensuring that people are getting the opportunities I had, because just I didn't get there alone. I'm very fortunate to be the one who has the medals and has the honours, but it wasn't just me. Other people helped me get here. So I think, it's very humbling, but also it comes with responsibility, I think. The journey isn't over. It continues. I just haven't quite worked out which pathway exactly it goes down, but that's the joy of life. Doors open, doors close, and new adventures begin, and you just don't know what's around the corner.
That's it. Like a random phone call from Andy Hodge asking for another favour. Well, Heather,
I love it, Andy. I love it.
Do you love, and we love speaking to you. I love speaking to you. You know, all our conversations are full of such good messages and thoughts and considerations. And I love, when you were talking earlier about that sort of obligation for the team, the difference between, deciding to go for a run and actually waking up at 6 and thinking, nah. And then if you've lined up with a mate to go for a run, you're much more likely to go for a run. And that obligation to the team. And it's one of the strengths of the sport. And it's one of the really big things behind Race the Thames, which I believe makes a big difference to people, because you can engage with more people. You can engage with them in a way that actually, in a good way, gives that obligation to get active. And it's a great pleasure to have Dan on the call now. Dan is from Clear Course. I think a lot of the messaging, a lot of the things you've been speaking about, Heather, will chime with Dan, because he is, I'm sure he won't describe himself as a leader. He definitely is. But bigger than that, he's a massive team player. I've been on some of the emails. I've seen what his teams are doing. The 11 teams that he's got in Race the Thames, the massive amount of work and effort and energy they put in. So, Dan, welcome to the call.
Thank you.
We've got Ikem, Shanique, and Tom asking some questions. And Heather, please stay on and ask any of your own, or I'm sure Dan might have a question for you. But hey, looking forward to moving the conversation towards Clear Course. Thank you, Dan. I'll hand over to Tom, Shanique, and Ikem, and look forward to where this is going. But maybe if you could give us a quick rundown of yourself, of Clear Course, and your teams. It'd be great to hear from you what you're up to.
Absolutely. So I'm Dan Barber, and I love all sports, always have done. Would love to have been a professional sportsman in almost any capacity. Like, I'm happy to chase any ball, regardless of what shape it is. And that didn't quite happen, but I've always had sport as part of my life. And then also kind of fundraising as well, right from an early age. I remember when I got my first job at 16, having left school, about 2 years later, I organised a keeper football up for charity competition with like loads of people from this print company. So we're all in this sports centre just trying to keep a football up, and someone got to like 1,550 keep ups or something. So anyway, so fast forward to kind of now, I joined Clear Course last July, having kind of moved across in an acquisition. I had an agency, and it was great when Andy reached out to Clear Course, reached out to our CEO to ask him whether we could get involved in this. And it was passed on to me. I'm director of brand strategy, and they said, "Oh, what do you think?" And I remember where I was in a car park in Cambridge, chatting to Andy on a Friday morning, and came off the call and was just like, "Oh, bloody hell, this guy's energy." And I was meeting two of my mates to play golf, two of my old friends, Alan and Trevor, and I was like, "Oh, I've just been on the phone with a 3-time Olympic gold medalist, blah blah blah," and so it really started from there. We promised to put a team in. And then when I put it out to all of the community at Clear Course, we employ about 700 people across 30 odd businesses. It suddenly started gathering momentum, got quite competitive, and before you know it, we had 11 teams. So we've got 11 teams in this year's Race the Thames. We committed to raising 5,000 as a minimum. We're definitely going to smash that. I managed to get £1,000 of sponsorship yesterday from a guy who we're trying to buy a web address off him, and he wanted a price, which I agreed to a price subject to him then giving £1,000 back to the charity. So yeah, it's all happening. But the biggest thing for me is seeing like 88 people across our group all training. And today is lovely. We're in the office today. People are starting to ache and sort of groan a little bit now, having come out of the traps, you know, on Monday. But everybody's in it together. 4 of our team just went off for a 4K walk at lunchtime. So you've got this, they haven't got their heads in their laptops. They're out, they're talking to each other. Everyone's sharing experience, putting it on LinkedIn, social. One of our team met a random person in a gym. She lives 2 hours outside of London. Met a guy in a gym who she says he's never on any cardiovascular equipment, and she saw it, he was hogging the rower apparently, so she went over and spoke to him. Turns out he's in a team, not one of ours, he's in someone else's team. So you've got this kind of wonderful connectivity and stuff, and yeah, it's brilliant just seeing how it's bringing, you know, it's doing a massive favor for us. It's bringing all of our team together, lots of which didn't know each other before this event, and now they're all in communication. So we're proud to be a part of it.
Mate, that makes my heart sing for one of your mates to see someone else on the rowing machine thinking, get off, come on, I want to go. And he's actually hogging it for Race the Thames. That's absolutely brilliant. No,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
And how? Tell me about your setup. Like, is it like have you got all the ergs in the office, like next to the computers, or are you going down the gym at lunchtime, or how's it all work?
Listen, everybody's doing different things. People are swimming, running, walking to work. We've got no equipment in the office, which would have been good, although we've got a gym very close. So last night, 4 of us went over to Fitness First, and they've got 4 rowers. So we occupied all 4 rowers last night, and it was great because Stephen Wolf, no, he's older than me. You wouldn't mind me saying that. He's older than me. He's pulling 10,000 meters, no problem. Next to him is Brandon, who's like in his mid-20s, taking a break every 2.5 minutes to get a water because he can't keep up. So it's just like you've got a real mixed bag of people and levels, but there's a real competitiveness. And actually, I've just literally, as I sat down, got an email from our membership services team who are like, we've done it, we've won it, we're the Clear Course champions. They've completed it apparently.
Yeah, I saw that come through. I think they're the first ones to do the 346k, which is massive. It's awesome. Obviously, we'll be checking all the entries to making sure everything's bona fide. You know, there's no.
I really like that, and I'm going to just give them a little caveat email on that front. I think so.
I wanted to touch on that. Hi Dan, I'm Ikem, one of the coaches at OIR.
Ikem, nice, how are you, buddy?
I'm not too bad, mate. Thanks for jumping on as well. I've been kind of keeping up to date with your videos, especially on LinkedIn, and I think you're amazing. I think what you're doing at Clear Course for us as well is fantastic, and I just want to say thank you again. Thank you, bud. But I was looking at your videos and I was thinking, okay, cool, this guy looks in good shape, probably very, very sporty, and it kind of seems like you're leading the pack. So I just wanted to get on what the dynamics is right now. What's going on in the group chats? Is there banter going along in the buildings? Are people walking across you saying, I'm going to smash you tonight?
Listen, there's all sorts of stuff. So yesterday I walked around to see Jess in our M&A team. She's on one of our teams. And she's like, oh, have you come around here to gloat? I was going, what are you on about gloat? She's going, you're in the lead. I was going, I'm not in the lead. Our team's Marco Polo. We're not in the lead. We're like midway. She's going, oh, sorry, I thought you were in Clear Course Retail and you were coming to gloat. I was like, well, firstly, I wouldn't have done that if I was in the lead. in the lead. But no, it is all kicking off on that front. And on Monday, I was getting emails from 3 people going, some people have started early. You're not supposed to start before 2:00. And I was like, all right, tell me who they are. We'll deal with them afterwards. So yeah, there's plenty of that. And I think there's lots of like subgroups on WhatsApp and different things. And I think one of the things I've set myself for this time next year, so long as it's on, we'll definitely be a part of it. And is to get somewhere where everyone can kind of talk. I mean, I think a WhatsApp group for our 88 people might be a bit chaotic, but we need somewhere, you know, where we can get everybody's kind of content. and have it all gathered in one place, because there's some amazing content out there, isn't there?
I mean, you touched on it when you first joined, how an event like this can bring people together, that people that didn't know people in the company.
Yeah.
I mean, you can work with someone for the last 3 years and not really had a conversation, but because you're on the same team, it brings people together.
Ikem, you're exactly right. We've got Shola on our team who's just so lovely. She suffered from COVID towards the end of last year and suffered quite badly. And all she's done since I got her on the team is tell me, I shouldn't be on the team. I shouldn't be on the team. And I'm like, you definitely should be on the team. One of the things I took from that first day chatting to Andy was, don't just go out and get the sporty people, because that's easy, right? You know, go and get all sorts of people. So we've really worked hard on that. And I'm so impressed with some of the people who have taken this on, because if you don't do sport regularly, it's a decent distance, isn't it, to suddenly think you've got to cover. But like with Shola, when you start saying, Shola, you know, where do you get the train from? And you start saying, right, do you know, what's the distance from your house to the train and stuff? And I was watching one of your coach's videos, the lady up in Leeds, and she was saying that she just parks 3 kilometers away from her meeting, and then that's 6 kilometers done, and she can do it in her jeans. So I was sharing that stuff with Shola. So yeah.
I think getting 11 teams as well is great. And like I said, it brings us together. And I was watching your video on LinkedIn. I think you just finished covering some mileage on the ergo machine, and you were sweating. And I wanted to ask you, what was it about us that attracted you to come and join our event? What was it about OIR, and how was your team finding RTT? And because I was watching your video, and you was telling me, it felt like you was telling me what we do, and I'm thinking, hold on. I was going to get on the phone to Matt. I said, Matt, sign him up, because he's telling me what we do. I'm thinking, you must have worked for us before. And I thought that was great, because you get it. You're heavily invested onto what we do.
You know, I don't know. My late mother was an activist. She was a proper activist. So I was born in Hammersmith to a single mother. She couldn't keep me, so I went into kind of care, and I was really fortunate enough to be adopted by the Barbers, and grew up in Suffolk, East Anglia, in a little village. And you know, I look back and think, right, okay, so mixed race kid, single mum, in care in the 70s, like things could have gone very differently for me. And so I'm really grateful for what happened. And I think that, and the fact that my biological mum was definitely an activist in all these ways, I kind of have that in me, thankfully. And so once I kind of chatted to Andy and found out what this was about, he was able to explain it very, very quickly. And then I went on the website, and then you looked, and it's like, you have to be involved. We should be involved. It's all we should be doing as people. And I talk to people on LinkedIn a lot about, for the most part, most people on LinkedIn are living a privileged existence. You know, they're working in a job that probably they can choose to do, and maybe in demand or what have you. And so we just have to be doing this kind of stuff. And it just pleases me massively when I read your case studies and stuff, and see the things that you're doing and helping these kids. And it's kind of mental health, physical health, you know, confidence to then be able to change something that's in your own background, or change the course and the direction of your own life, is absolutely what it's all about. So I love it. So you had me like after a few seconds of talking to Andy.
That's great. And is there any like challenges that anyone's been facing? Is there any like cool stories within a team? Is someone doing it that's currently battling something right now, or they got any injuries and they're still going on, soldiering on?
No, I think there probably is that. We haven't heard too much about that. I think, you know, like in Shola's case, I think she's definitely suffered through health, but also it's wonderful to see her involved, because she lacks that natural confidence, you know. I remember on day one, she's like, oh, I only did 2.6 miles today. It's like, it's 2.6 miles. You've contributed, and you know, go and look at what you're contributing to as well. So, but I'm sure there's lots more stuff like that. Do you know what the biggest issue we have, and bearing in mind we're a technology software company, is getting our guys to work out how to use the forms. That's the biggest thing. So I'm glad we've done it this year, because next year it's going to be a breeze. It'll be easy next year.
And it's funny you said that, because I'm so happy to see how heavily invested people are in actually trying to smash it and boost up their team scores and their team's distances, because I'll be going to bed and my phone will be pinging off and I'll be seeing submissions at 11 p.m. And I'm thinking, this is great.
I know people put it. So yeah, it's been that's you know, the whole thing's been really good. I know you guys keep sort of saying thanks to us, but I'm really grateful because we, you know, culture in business is tough to kind of get. Culture comes from the top, and we're fortunate enough to have a CEO who's a decent guy, he's a decent person, he's a fair person, and that filters down. And anything other than that, you kind of, you know, it's just not going to happen. But the way this has brought our teams together, who they're in Scotland all the way down to Southampton, from East Anglia all the way over to Bristol, to have these people talking to each other, they just wouldn't have talked to each other. And the empathy that we'll have, you know, I'm going to be talking about this when it's time to talk about my bonus in terms of next week's output. So
Well, Dan, I just want to say hi as your Marshall. I don't know if you remember me in our first.
Yeah, I do. How you
interview.
doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for all your help.
Well, I just want to say, as your Marshall, I am quite proud of the work you've put in. Not to mention the other 88 participants, is it? That you recruited to be part of this. The energy that you've put in is also another reason why we enjoy putting on this event. It's great to see others with a potential like you, like putting all this work and might not necessarily be from a sporty background. So it's really great to see. What I wanted to ask, how is the fundraising going so far? You guys seem to be smashing it on our leadership board.
Yeah, the fundraising's good. And actually, you know, some teams have taken that really seriously. And I haven't kind of had to push that agenda too much. I've always dropped it into every note and every team roundup, but it's not been like a big thing to push. Everyone gets that. And I think there's been a natural kind of competitiveness now, which is building further, especially as the week goes on. People get more confident in reaching out and saying, look, you know, we're doing this thing. So, you know, you have that kind of the minimum requirement for an 8-person team, but I thought, well, look, it's going to be 5,000 there or thereabouts. Let's set that as a minimum, but we're definitely smashed that. And I think, you know, we're really kind of targeting 10 now. I haven't quite added up where we are at the minute, but you know, we've got to be able to get there.
And that's amazing to hear. Also, I don't know if this is a rumor that I heard that you guys might have seen that there was a team that might have been struggling a little, and you guys might have put in a bit more effort just so you can add more distances onto theirs. Is that what I heard?
Hopefully so. So as it occurred to me this morning, it occurred to me when membership services were bragging about having done it. And I was looking at the map. I was like, okay, that's cool. But hold on a minute. Looks like we've got someone back here. And so I've reached out to Jill. They're up in Manchester. They're our finance team. And they're quite new to our business as well. So it's really cool that they're involved. But so I spoke to Andy quickly and he sort of suggested, yeah, you know, reach out and see what we can do. So I haven't heard back from Jill yet, but, you know, we'll see. It could be they just haven't uploaded or something like that, but we'll find out. And then maybe some people can maybe donate some mileage or something.
Hey, Dan, I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, cool. Hey, I'm Matt. I think it was really interesting when you said before about the people that you get to meet within the office on a project like this, and especially people who are sort of new to the company. I'm sort of looking at the screen here. I'm the CEO, incredibly lucky to be the CEO of this one. And,
nice to meet you.
And I'm looking at the people on here, and Ikem, Shanique, Tom, Andy, Even, Ollie, Owen, Sam, Louise, all of them have joined since COVID started, which is sort of astonishing, just looking around the room, really. So I was wondering, how have you managed to sign up 88 people, and how have you done that, and how have you sort of engaged with people to get this idea? Because everybody here, Andy especially, comes up with these crazy ideas that have sort of figured and sort of made LYL what it is. And I say this all the time, but some of their sort of biggest and best ideas have come from the guys themselves. So I just wondered, how is it that you've been able to do that with a team of 88 to sort of get them engaged in this slightly mad, crazy idea?
Do you know what? It's been it's thanks really to the team captains. So right from the off, I thought, right, how are we going to do this? I'm a big believer in just going and getting people to do stuff. You know, I'm not a, you know, that kind of can it's not always a successful way to go, but I kind of charge into everything. But with this, it was like, right, we've got to find some advocates. And Hannah, especially on the retail team, early doors, she was an absolute advocate. And then, so I thought, right, let's find the captains, but I didn't know how many teams we're going to have. So when the people started accumulating, I was thinking, right, I'm not going to be able to manage this anyway. So let's get some captains involved. And that was how we did it. So it's a real team effort. You know, we've got 11 captains across our 11 teams. They're all responsible for talking to their 7, you know, participants. And it's just kind of fallen into place really well. It's just worked well. So I absolutely couldn't have done it without them. But we've got 13% engagement over 700 people. And when you think about kind of engagement percentage scores for social and all other things, it's like 13% of our workforce are taking part in this.
It's so cool, isn't it? We set up this event a couple of years ago where we were doing it live at our indoor rowing competition that I have with kids. And it started, so we wanted to give potentially our funders a way of seeing what we do. And it's sort of grown way beyond that now, really.
Yeah.
You know, we were hopeful to have Enjoy It live again this year, so we can have a Race The Thames live version. But I think that's going to be sort of off the cards because of COVID.
Yeah.
But it just makes me really positive about what happens next year when we can get your guys in the same room with some of our kids racing, all sat on run machines at the same time.
Yeah,
that would be inspiration. Amazing.
That would be awesome to do that. And if you think, you know, I'm excited about next year because we've got, you know, 88 people now who know about London Youth Rowing, who will all be at home talking to their family and friends about it as well. And so hopefully, you know, from what we do, there'll be even more engagement and more teams next year. So,
yeah,
you know, I think for us, it's just a tremendous event in terms of timing as well. You know, that last week of Jan can be a tough month for anybody, whether it's people are doing dry January or whatever it is. It can just be a tough, long, grey, cold month. And this is just a lift, isn't it? Like, you know, you get to this point and I think so. I'd like to think that this is now in our calendar in perpetuity. So
hey Dan, I don't know if you can see the other Dan's, but Mossbourne, we're a school in Hackney, which is supported by LYR, and we did Race the Thames last year in the middle of lockdown, and we had all the kids doing it, and obviously half went to LYR and the other half went to Mossbourne. And the boat they're rigging up, the cameras in at the moment, was partly funded from the Race the Thames event last year. So the school chipped in a bit as well. And this is the first boat that Mossbourne have ever owned themselves. So it all goes towards a really good thing. And we're rigging it up today. We're telling all the kids that it arrived yesterday afternoon, and they're all like really, really excited to get out in it tomorrow morning. So stuff like this really does make a difference.
Thank you, mate, for sharing it, because it's great to see just a physical manifestation of the work. You know, I've read up enough to know that you guys just do incredible work, but actually the tangible, direct, getting it, you know, on the ground where it needs to happen is just brilliant. Great to see.
So, what have you guys ever been out on the water and done any rowing or anything like that on the water?
Never. Well, only in a dinghy, only in a dinghy. And my kids laugh because I went into a decathlon last year and bought one of their refurbished blow-up boats to go on our local canals, and the kids are just like, "Dad, what are we doing?" They're so embarrassed. But so that's it. But I've done a lot of like static rowing, but no, I'd love to get out on the water. It'd be great.
Well, we've got I'm sure we can chat about it afterwards, but and Andy's got a skerry that we got last year that's moored in the Olympic Park. So if you're up for it and you can get a team of 8 down, we'll take you out. Obviously, when it's a bit warmer, and sunnier, and the bars are open and things down there. But we'll get you out on the water for a session.
Tom, I'm going to take you up on that. That's going to be, I think, part of my post-event competition for everybody to get in on that 8. That's brilliant. Yeah,
no, definitely be up for that.
We did a few years ago. We did this event with Tideway, when we started working with Andy a few years ago, before he joined us, and with Tideway, their tagline was reconnecting Londoners to the River Thames. So it was their own staff, and we ran this event there where we got 16 of those boats, and they all met in Greenwich on a Thursday evening, and then we raced them all through the centre of London at like 7 o'clock, I think it was, on this really lovely summer's evening, and then they finished over in West London at Chiswick, and then got out and we had pizzas and everything. It was amazing. It was a great thing. So I'm just thinking that's exactly what we should be doing with you guys.
Yeah,
have this whole thing and get everybody out on the water, man.
No, definitely up for that. Count us in if it ends up at a pub as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. And the highlight was Andy dressed as Snow White with 7 other people in the boat as dwarfs. You know,
brilliant.
It sounds like the most surreal thing ever.
I know, right? It's funny because I did a mate of mine, one of my best mates, Andy Taylor. He's like ridiculously fit, and his mum passed away from cancer. So I said, look, let's do an event for charity. So he's like, what should we do? I said, let's do London to Paris, the cycle ride. So anyway, we got another friend of ours, Ben, to organise it. He's like, right, we're going to do it, but we're going to dress up as superheroes. And it's like, okay, that would be cool. Bearing in mind, Ben organised it and had first choice of the superheroes and went as Wonder Woman. So...
Which I think says a lot about somebody, doesn't it? You can run a thesis on that.
Everything you need to know. Yeah. I love seeing.
Matt, why was Andy dressed as Snow White? Is it a fancy dress thing, or is it just that's what he turned up as?
No, it was a fancy dress thing. Which I thought was sort of perfect with us 8 people there. The weirdest thing was 8 people all dressed as Andy Triggs Hodge. That was the weirdest looking thing I've ever seen. Yeah.
Dan, I wanted to ask again, when it comes to you guys in your competition, how are you guys actually competing? Is there a group of you guys just doing row machines? Is someone running every morning? Is anyone doing any what specific sports?
Everybody's doing a different thing. So Jules was in a gym last night doing a heavy weight session. I know some people are walking. Jenny Watkins from the membership team did some 2-hour swim the other night, but she'd actually done a 10K run the day before and then an hour weight session or something. It's like made up of all sorts of things, really impressive. I put together the most patchy 10K of anything this morning that you could imagine because I was just knackered and tired, and I stayed in London. Woke up early on this hard mattress. I couldn't sleep. Honestly, it's the most slow and patchy 10K of stuff. It's ridiculous, but it qualifies technically.
And out of all your teams, do you know who's winning at the minute? With
yeah. So I think it looks like, until we get some proper verification, it looks like Clear Course Membership Services team have won it. They've done it. They've completed the 346.
Bravo to them.
I know.
Well done to them.
Hot off the press.
Could you quickly tell us about the money, who you're raising the money for? Yeah,
now most of the teams, I think, are raising money for LYR. I think I've seen 1 or 2 doing, a secondary charity, but not many. And I'm not totally sure who they're for. I think the majority I could see was mostly all for LYR. I think it's great though that you give them the option to be able to, split some of that money with another charity. I think it just kind of helps people connect and probably get behind it more quickly. So I think that's a really good thing.
I think we got. Have we got some of the para team joining us now? Are they on yet?
I think we've got a couple of members. Yeah, I think so. Ellen and James and Ben, I believe. Hopefully they can hear us.
How are you?
We can. Hello.
Hello, guys.
So I just wanted. Yeah, go on, Andy.
Go on. All right. So, hey, sorry I missed the last bit of your conversation there, Dan. I was just
don't worry at all.
3 Paralympic legends Today we've had the most amazing journey from Heather Stanning, double Olympic champion, retired after Rio and is now major in the army, with some just incredible reflections on her journey. We've heard from Dan, who works the clear course and who is an absolute force to be reckoned with when it comes to Race the Thames teams. And again, like just hearing some of your stories, Dan, what you've done, where you've come from, and what it sounded like your kind of ethos going forward is just so inspiring. So thank you for that. And now we're joined by Ben, Ellen, and James, who are all part of the Paralympic team, with a whole bag of medals to their names, with weights on their shoulder. I mean, James looks like he's actually in the weights room. He told me that he's actually been dusting down his house and he's doing a bit of housework, but I'm happy to go with this chalk from
yeah. Oh yeah, straight out of the gym.
That's it. But look, it's a great privilege and honor to be able to introduce the three of you. I will hand you over to Tom and Shanique. And if anyone has any questions, let's go. But thank you for your time today. And yeah, Tom, Shanique, over to you.
All right, guys, how you doing? All right, I think we'll let's start with like a little introduction from each one of you. So I don't know who wants to go first out of the three of you.
Go on then, Ben.
So my name is Benjamin Pritchard and I row the PR1 for the British rowing. Tokyo was my first Paralympic Games, and unfortunately I didn't come away with a medal, but I did come away with a Paralympic record in my rapid charge. An interesting fact is that the next two Paralympic Games will be rowed over different distances due to course lengths, so that Paralympic record might stand for some years yet.
That's good. Am I unmuted? Yeah. Hello, I'm Ellen Buttrick. I'm in the PR3 Mixed Cox 4 with James, and I've been in it since 2018. I started rowing in 2012 at Leeds Rowing Club, and I joined the GB team in 2018. And we actually didn't get the Paralympic record whilst we were in Tokyo, but we did get a gold medal, but we didn't get the record. So devastated. Not that I hold a grudge, but I am a bit upset about it.
Yeah, hi, I'm James Fox. I've been rowing since I was 11, since 2003. Blimey, that's a long old time. I've been rowing 18 years, went to Rio and Tokyo and won a gold medal at both.
Impressive.
Awesome. So James, I heard on the grapevine that you're a bit of a kind of DIY property renovator. It looks like you're doing something like that at the
I
moment.
have no idea where you got that from, Wilco. Absolutely no idea.
So what are you doing at the moment? It looks like you're like dusting sand in the floor or something.
Basically what I did was I opened the Hoover and dived straight in. No, I'm knees deep in dust pretty much. Sanding walls, cutting wood. I just fitted some skirting boards this morning. So yeah, I'm covered in skirting board essentially. So it's going well and it's really good fun. Learning on the job, very different to rowing, but it's really good fun.
Somebody needs to phone Cowboy Builders, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
BBC are going to be around in no time, James.
They will, yeah. Oh God.
So since Tokyo and James, what have you been up to? What's the plan? Are you continuing? Are you having a break or what's going on?
So first thing I did after Tokyo was go on a couple of holidays, which was really good fun. Actually raced the Coastal Championships as well, the World Coastal Championships with Jack Beaumont and Matt Rossiter and another guy, Richard Clark, who raced for Tyrion, all boys from uni. And it was really good fun. Went out in Portugal, completely different ball game to what we would call rowing, but what the coastal guys call flat water. Completely different ball game. First of all, it was 8k long, which was a bit of a shock to the system. I used to race 1k. Rio was over 1k. Now we've been moved to 2k, and 8k's it's unfathomable. But so had a bit of a rest. I'm still having a bit of a rest, to be honest, making my decision about whether to carry on to Paris. It is only 3 years now, but it's a hell of a commitment. So it's not a decision to be taken lightly. We'll see. Hopefully, we'll have made a decision within the next few weeks. So watch the space.
Ben, you mentioned a minute ago the distance changing for the next Paralympics. Tell me a little bit more about like what's going on. Is it longer, shorter, and why they're doing it?
So it's still going to be a 2K race in inverted commas, but the Paris course isn't actually 2,000 meters long. It's like 1,980 something meters. So you can't hold a world record or a Paralympic record over something that's less than 2,000. And then where they're planning to have the LA course is on a shorter course again. I think it's like 1,500 meters. So, like I said, hopefully that's the case. And then my Paralympic record will stand for a little bit longer. But we'll see. We'll see.
What was your record, just out of interest? Come on.
9:14.61. It was 2 seconds outside the world record, but I didn't know that because unfortunately I'm strapped in on my chest. So I can't, we have this thing in the rowing boat, which is called a stroke coach, which tells you your splits per 500 meters as you go down the course. And obviously if you can reset it, it will tell you your cumulative time. But where it is on my boat, I can't reach it to reset it at the start of the race. So I've already rowed 3.5K before the warm-up. So I'm not going to do mental arithmetic down the course when I'm trying to focus on winning. So I'd actually started to back down to, save some energy for the final. And then unfortunately looked up at the screen and saw 9:14 and I was like, oh no, I was close. But, and then unfortunately on the final, the nature didn't play its course and we had a raging headwind. And then I struggled in the headwind. There's no one to blame. It was just I struggled and unfortunately came away with 5th place. So yeah, that was my Tokyo journey.
So Ben, you've made the transition from other sports, I think cycling, triathlon. How are you finding it with the rowing community, with the rowing team? What's the transition like?
I think actually they're very similar sports. My job in my cycling team was a domestique or a lead out man. So I would hurt myself for somebody else to get all the glory, and it was all about going as hard as you can for as long as you could. That was kind of my job in my cycling team. And if you look at rowing, that's essentially what we do every single day, is going as fast as we can for as far as we can go. And I think that's why I tend to dominate on the squad and in the ergos. I quite like an ergo and I quite like hurting myself. I've got 6 indoor world records to my name. That's kind of my domain, but I need to be able to transfer that onto the water, I think, to try and get a shiny medal. No, but yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and I still say that I'm not a rower yet. I spent, very much like James, I spent my younger years sailing and cycling and doing triathlon, so I earned my stripes in that world, and I felt very much a part of that community. And in rowing, I've only been rowing for 5 years, so I'm still learning all the lingo and all the technical terms and trying to immerse myself in it. I still haven't got a rowing blazer, so I need to find a club which can give me a decent rowing blazer. And actually this year will be the first year that our training diaries allow us to go and watch a bit of Henley. So I'll be coming across and enjoying watching Henley, which is obviously the blue ribbon event in the UK. So I'll be looking forward to that as well and immersing myself into proper rowing culture.
Yeah, well, it'll be an education, that's for sure.
What kind of, can I just ask, what 500 meter time do all you professionals on here, what kind of 500 meter time do you do on the rower? Because we were all in the gym last night and everyone's looking over at each other's screens and seeing what they're doing. So I'd be really interested to know.
First thing I can tell you is that happens even when we're training every day. We all have a cheeky glance at all of everyone's screens, make sure no one's slacking. That's key. So when we're doing like a longer steady state ergo, I'll pull something like 213.5 is my per 500. And then my world records are down to like 153s, 154s. So that's what I do for a 2K.
Wow.
But that's strapped in, that's fixed leg, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm strapped up to my chest. Yeah, so strapped up to my chest. That's just my arms and my body. I'm not sure James remembers what an ergo is, but let's see if he can pull out some numbers.
Oh, it's cheeky, isn't it? When he's on the other side of a camera, he can. He's got some chat behind him.
It'll give you some carpentry time. You can put some skirting board on, no time.
The skirting boards, mate. I haven't erged for 4 years. I had a surgery in 2017 on my hip and haven't been able to erg since. I'm I'm guessing my 500 time would be around 123, probably, maybe somewhere around that area. I did a 1K at 125, so around that sort of area for 500. Who knows?
Wow,
Probably now.
that's ridiculous. Oh yeah, just the 140, just around there. That's superb.
Yeah, and I love the old, the pulling the operation card. Say, oh no, I definitely can't go on a row machine. It's a common tactic.
Tell you what, OG, you missed out on a trick there.
I did. Yeah, I should. Hey, Ellen, I'm going to pull you out on me. I'm a fellow Yorkshireman. Grew up there, and I think that's where you started rowing. Yeah, I mean, obviously from Yorkshire to the south of England is quite a jump. How are you managing that? And also, there's a bit going on in Leeds with rowing.
Yeah, there is. So obviously London Youth Rowing have got a set up the programme there, the active row in Leeds. I actually got to go up in December for the indoor rowing champs, the junior indoor rowing champs. That was quite cool to see. When I started rowing, it was literally like a tiny little hut on the lake near my house. And we had 4 ergos. We had like 1 squat rack, rusty squat rack. And every time you wanted to row, you had to put the riggers on the boat because it wouldn't fit in with the riggers on. So you'd have to get there like 20 minutes early to put the riggers on, get out there. We had 600 meters to row. And we used to get to regattas and be like, yeah, we're definitely going to win on a 2K course. And then we'd be like, why aren't we winning? It's like probably because we spin every 600 meters. But since then, they've got this whole new boathouse that's been built. They've got an entire like stretch of water on the canal. And just like rowing in Leeds is just like massively grown, which is really cool to see. And I'm pretty sad that like I've moved away just as it's happened. Like I moved down to the south in 2019 to row with the team. And then since then it's like grown massively. So I think the transition was interesting to come down here from like where I live in Leeds, and I moved to Henley-on-Thames, which is like the rowing capital, but it's very different to like inner city Leeds. And so like getting used to that was different, but it's very cool to like go for a walk every day and to see people rowing and just as like in Henley and to just like know that it's like so ingrained in the community. And I'm kind of hoping that that's what will happen in Leeds.
Well, I think from the amount of activity of rowing that's going on in Leeds, I think it won't be long before Leeds takes over as the rowing capital.
Yeah, and I can move back.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just get the whole of British rowing up to Leeds, and we can do it properly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think Yorkshire needs to stop taking over this conversation. One thing that I know you're very passionate about, the refugees. I'd love to hear you talk a bit about where that's come from, your motivation for that, and the work you're doing there.
Yeah, so when I graduated from university, I moved to work for a charity, and it was the Refugee Council in Leeds. And that was 2018. It's the same year that I went to Worlds. So I started that job and I started rowing with the GB rowing team. And I was kind of juggling both. I don't even know how I did it now, but at that time I thought it was easy. And I used to work 4 days a week, and then I'd get my bag and I'd come down to Henley, row for 3 days, then go back up. But I'd literally like wash my clothes, put them in a bag, come back every week. And we managed to win a gold medal that year as well, which was like crazy. But I kind of wanted to work in the charity sector, and I got this job in the Refugee Council, and it was working with Syrian refugees that were moving to the UK and like helping them to resettle across Yorkshire. And then when I moved down here to work to row, I took up some roles in the refugee charities in Reading and Henley, to kind of, because I didn't want to just like leave that world. I think I found it really empowering working with these people who had like lived through such horrible experiences, but they had so much hope and like so much motivation to grow and to like to better themselves and to help like our country as well, and to work in our country. And I wanted to do that down here. But I actually had one lady in Reading who I was helping. I did this role where you kind of go and you show them around the city when they've moved there. And I took her to the library and like got her a library card, and we used to like sit and read books together to improve her English. And then one day I was telling her about my job and that I was a rower, and she was like, what is this? And I showed her a picture and like a video of me rowing with James in the 4. And she was like, you have to row those men across the river every day? She was like, I thought you were a receptionist. I was like, yeah, no, it is a bit strange, actually. Yeah. And she's like, you went to university to do that? I was like, yeah, I am really questioning my life choices right now. Yeah. But it was like interesting to see rowing from a different perspective. And I think like I didn't really know what rowing was until I kind of saw it on the lake. And it's like, not many people do know what it is until they're introduced to it or they see it, or like I saw it on the boat race on TV, and that's how I realized it existed. And like if people don't know, and then they just don't know that they can get involved in it. So that's kind of why I like sharing it with everybody.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, I mean, look, I think it's something that Heather was talking about, having that sort of life outside of the sport, having goals and objectives in a whole, short term, long term, but also inside and outside of rowing. And it's really great to hear the work you're doing and the impact. And again, it just sort of it changes rowing into it makes a bigger impact. I mean, your story will have had such an impact on her as she gets to understand what the sport is, and that puts rowing on a big journey itself. James, I know you do a lot of work in the mental health area. Here in Race the Thames, we're trying to encourage teams to see the bigger picture of teamwork. And, something Dan mentioned that, when we were encouraging them to build teams, it wasn't just about picking the fastest people, but actually finding those who might need to be more active or might need some help with mental health, and just pulling into an environment where they can be encouraged. And we're seeing some wonderful stories coming out from that. It'd be great to hear about your experiences with that and so what you're doing in that area.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think activity has been proven to really improve mental health, and they're talking now about prescribing activity or fitness-related activity to people with poor mental health, because it's just so good at remedying it, I guess. Everybody finds it hard to hold to a exercise schedule. Even the athletes in the rowing world would find it difficult. I think one of the key things is to be held accountable. If you can do it with a friend and make it a routine kind of thing, then that's awesome, and that'll keep you on the ball and keep you turning up every day. And if you're going to have one friend, why not do it with 7 other people? I was doing the maths before I came on this call, and it's at 346k divided by 8. That's 43k. It's a marathon each. If you're going to do it in a day, huge, absolutely massive. It could be making your bed in the morning. It could be getting out of the house, right up to completing a marathon. Yeah, in a team of 8. So yeah, I think exercise is incredibly important for mental health, and as a part of a team, it can only be better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's what we're seeing. Yeah, I mean, this event it's blowing the doors off of the impact this sport can have, particularly, but and also what comes back. Tom, Shanique, do you have any questions for these guys?
I was just going to ask Ben about I know you're from Wales, but tell me about how you started rowing and what rowing was like. I don't know whether you picked it up in Wales or whether you moved over here and picked it up. But yeah, tell me about kind of your background and being in Wales.
Yeah, I'm a very proud Welshman. I'm actually in a battle with Ellen to move the British Rowing Centre to Wales or Leeds, because it's a lot cheaper to live than in the southeast of England. But it's falling on deaf ears every single day. No, I actually found rowing found me because I had a sporting injury. So I crashed in a cycling race in September 2016 and sustained a spinal injury. And I went to Stoke Mandeville Hospital. And at the time I was at hospital, British Rowing had a link with Stoke Mandeville Hospital to kind of talent. ID people. And I know that sounds a bit weird, but for me, it was great because I'd left the sporting world, and sport was everything I did outside of my work in insurance. I rode my bike every weekend, I rode my bike every day, and I loved it. And if I just had to do the rehab in hospital and not have that sporting focus outside of rehab, I think I would have really struggled. Like James said, it was my go-to to get a better place. I remember when I first got told I was never going to walk again. We got given like this planner, this like school timetable where each of the hours is broken down into slots, physios, doctors, appointments left, right, and centre. And I noticed that a week on Tuesday there was an afternoon blocked out for sport. And I remember on that Thursday being told, you're never going to walk again, in front of my mum, my dad, and the physio. And I remember just looking at the piece of paper and saying to myself, if I get to Thursday, I'll be okay. Tuesday, if I get to that Tuesday, I'll be okay. If I get to that sports session, everything will be fine. And I actually got to that sports session, it was cancelled. So I sat in the hallway crying like a little baby. And like you said, I was from Wales and my London house was inaccessible. So I had to live in that hospital for like all of the time. I had to make the most of it offered. And one evening there was a sign saying British Rowing were coming to the hospital to show us about indoor rowing. And I went along and I was awful, absolutely terrible. But I had like this aim then, I could see that my numbers were getting better every time I got on the rowing machine. I was trying, and by the 2017 in the January, I was invited to come to Paralympic trials, and we sat in the room at Caversham in the power and stroke room. Holly, you'll know it well, but I sat there and Tom Dyson was at the front and saying, like today we're going to go and do a 2K on the water time trial. And I kind of looked around the room and I was like, I've never rowed in a rowing boat before. Like I've never even seen a boat. Like I don't, you see it on TV, but I've never seen one. And so we go down to the water and I kind of like grabbed Tom and I was like, I can't row 2,000 meters. I've never rowed, like never taken a single stroke. And he was like, don't worry, you're not going to be doing that. But I remember being tied with a rope at the landing pontoon whilst everyone else was doing these 2,000 meters up and down behind me. And I was just sat there learning about rowing stroke thinking this is really embarrassing. And that was kind of my start into rowing. And from that, then I went down to City of Swansea Rowing Club. And, I think what you do at London Youth Rowing is really cool because just like LM, City of Swansea train out of a container. There's no clubhouse, there's no fancy, boathouse with lots of boats. There's no bar or club afterwards. It is literally a shipping container in the back of a Sainsbury's car park, and they make it work. And I really like that. One of my mantras in life is that accessibility is not infrastructure, it's mindset. If the coach came up to me and said, we haven't got an accessible toilet, we haven't got a ramp to the water, but if I can get you in a boat, I can teach you to row. And that kind of, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to join this club and I'm going to stick at it and see where I go. And that was kind of my first foray into rowing. So I still race for City of Swansea, despite now living in Caversham and rowing there.
Awesome, that's amazing. I think you don't need that clubhouse, the bar or anything like that. If you've got a stretch of water, just get out and crack on with it and get going. That's amazing to hear.
Yeah, I actually think one of the most accessible sports out there because all you need is a rowing machine. And I say that, I know rowing machines cost money, but it is all you need. And they're sorry to name drop other charities, but if you look at the work that the Power Rowing Foundation are doing, they're opening up rowing to lesser nations around the world and just putting people in front of an erg. And it's fantastic to see the sport growing as a whole, especially in the para world. I think it's fascinating. We had countries like Sri Lanka who've never really raced internationally at the games, and that was really, really, really incredible. And I think what you guys do at London Youth Rowing, getting it in at such a young age with various parts of society, I think is incredible. So just want to say thank you for you guys for the hard work you all do.
Thank you. I mean, it's engagement is sort of the lifeblood of what we do. This is all about reaching out, encouraging people to do things they didn't think they would have access to do, and hopefully giving them a positive experience. And Ben, listening to you is I'll be first to admit I didn't fully appreciate your backstory, and hearing you talk about that and what this little sport has opened up. It sounds it's phenomenal. So well done for everything you've gotten through and how you've done it. And the same, I know Ellen and James as well. But, I think I know you guys might be putting in an entry for Race the Thames as well. Not to sort of bestow any secrets on the world, but I look forward to getting an entry. Do you guys have you got any ideas what sessions you're going to be submitting, or is it going to be sort of one of your just standard training sessions? How are you going to match up to the rest of the teams at Race the Thames?
I think actually, unfortunately, I'm the only one currently training out of the three of us. I know Alan's on a rehab program, and James is obviously doing his building work. So any suggestions for some training things I can submit, that would be great.
How many kilometers is a laying a brick, Andy? If you got a
yeah, we need to have a conversion for that. The skirting board's worth what, 5 meters?
I think we should do it by speck of dust. I've already won. I've already nailed it, guys. So
rehab definitely counts. Ellen, what are you up to at the moment?
So I've got a lot of swimming with just my arms, which is, I'm getting really strong in the upper body, which I've never had before. And then I've got cycling as well. I actually tried to submit because I've signed our team up.
Yes.
And I've been trying to submit, but then I was like, oh no, like how do I quantify swimming? Like, because it said add the photo submission, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe just like me smiling.
We've been discussing that. Maybe it's a heart rate thing, but I know you. I can qualify you as an honest person. So I think you just you put down what you say and just give us a nice cheeky photo instead.
Yeah. Okay.
Garmin photo, Alan.
Yeah. I was trying to do it, but then I did it in too many sections. So I had like 3. I didn't understand. So then I was like, oh, I'm not doing any training this week then. But yeah, I think we're just doing our usual programs because we've got most of the para squad involved in our team.
Yeah. And
then the Olympic squad have got like a mixed men's and women's team as well. So I don't think we're doing anything massive, like a big challenge, but as long as we can like get there before the Olympic squad, we'll be happy.
That's it. Well, look, I want to thank you 3 very much for coming on today. You're an absolute inspiration. And I say that as an ex-athlete from outside the sport, watching what you guys do. So yeah, thank you very much for your time today. Good luck for the rest of your entries for Race the Thames. Good luck for your journeys on from Tokyo towards Paris or other ventures, James, whichever way you go. Good luck with all that decision. And actually, the final congratulations to Ben getting married in March. I believe that's coming up.
Yeah,
nice work.
Yeah, thank you.
Look, we'll look forward to catching up soon.
Great to see you guys. And best of luck to everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Yeah, good luck to everyone.